Hello everyone, long time no see. First of all, if you're watching this video, thank you. It's been a while since I've last uploaded, so I appreciate you still being around in the channel. I have some more news regarding the channel's future and how I'm going to upload, so I'll explain that more in detail at the end of the video. Anyway, today I have the World Record Hot Lap and Circuit Guide around USA, Circuit of the Americas. So as these videos have worked in the past, I'll play the lap, then I'll talk you through my lines and my approach of the lap and my setup, etc. So yeah, let's get into it. So now heading on to the detailed analysis of the lap. So as you're starting the lap, you want to run completely to the edge of the track, and that's to get the best acceleration down the main straight. Now heading towards the uphill turn 1. It's all about the exit here, so you really want to make sure you get a good minimum speed through the apex and avoid touching both of the curbs on the inside and the outside. And there is like a bump right around where I'm at here, and so that's your signal to go on full throttle and to get the best traction possible. And now staying through the inside through turn 2. Now through turns 3, 4, and 5, which are all flat out, but they're more important than you think because your lines through here will carry on all the way up until the end of the section, which is at turn 9 at the top of the hill. So important to not make any minor mistakes and utilize all of the circuit here. Like as you can see, I'm right on the curb here, and make sure to avoid these small sausage ones because they'll really destabilize the car. So again, another important curb to cut is turn 6, there and there. So like 2 apexes to pull the car completely to the right for the next corner. And you want to be about at the middle of the circuit entering this one. But the most important bit is to cut this curb and be on 5th gear as you pick the power up once again, because the traction is really trickier because it's uphill and you're also turning at the same time, so you put a lot of energy in the tires and it's very easy to spin. And now also avoid this total like curb of death, but the closer you get to it, the more time you gain. So it's all about the millimeter perfection, but it's like all or nothing because once you touch it, it's completely gone. So anyway, over that curb and utilize all of the track on the exit. Now heading down to turn 11, which is harder than most people think because the car gets quite twitchy around the exit with the setup I was running anyway. So the solution I found to that was just touching my edge of the tire to the inside curb. I felt like that stabilized the car a lot. So now on the exit and down the back straight to what is probably like your make it or break it corner at this track, turn 12. You can gain a lot of time simply by just taking more track limits down the inside. You want to get really as close to this bollard as possible. and slow the car down as you do, because if you go in deep, it costs you like quite some time in your delta. So you pick the power up, then the moment you get onto this curb is when you go on full throttle and you want to immediately pull the car back to the left hand side and use this curb to rotate the car as you're braking. You can do it in a specific way like I did, but be careful with track limits, because you can see like I'm almost completely off the track with white lines. So down to second gear and try to put as little steering input as possible and stay tight to the inside, because this again is a corner where traction can get tricky. Now fourth gear, and through this corner down to first gear to rotate the car, and immediately short shifting back up to third gear and avoiding the curb at the exit, because I felt that really hurt traction. And now through this triple left-hander, it might seem like one of the easiest corners, but if you stay like completely to the inside and take it to the extreme, there's actually some really free time to be found. Like you're gonna see on my delta, I'm about like 14 thousandths down, but my delta is gonna go green as I just cut the curb more compared to my previous lap and just stick to the inside more. So yeah, that's some time to find. And now this corner is all about commitment with the track limits, completely like edge of the white line as I'm turning in, and you don't want to like touch your brakes fully because that'll bog the car down. So down to fifth gear, and now hard on the power as you go across the curb and just try to stay to the track limits. You can see like I'm actually not sure how this is not invalid, because yeah, almost off the circuit. But anyway, yeah, you have to be very committed through here. That's where I found most of my time through the lap. Now into the last corner, be careful with the sun, because that can be annoying sometimes. So I changed the time of the day to sunset to make that a bit better. And now braking on the curb down to third gear, and again track limits very important here. Like this curb here is completely flat. You can go over it, but you know, be careful with track limits. And now picking up the power slowly but aggressively, because the line comes up right towards you. And yeah, that's a lap of USA 129.673. And as you can see, that currently puts me number one on the leaderboards, which I'm fairly satisfied with. USA is an easy circuit to get a good lap at, but very difficult to get a perfect one at. So there's some more time in it, but right now being first is nice. So yeah, let's move on to the setup now. So running maximum downforce on the aerodynamics, which might seem a bit odd because there's a good amount of straights here, but there's just so many corners that make up for it, and I just found it to be the easiest and fastest way to drive. I probably wouldn't run the wings this high in a race, but in time trial at least, I think 1111 is the way to go. Not a whole lot to say for the differential. For on throttle, I was running fully locked, and for off throttle, I was running fully unlocked. So just gives me the best traction out of corners and also the best rotation mid corner, and yeah, fairly standard here. Now moving on to suspension geometry, running some negative front camber, I felt like it made the car better performing through the long corners in sector 1 and just made it a bit more stable around the front end, and everything else is all the way to the left, and that's quite normal. I think just gave me the best balance in the car. As for the suspension, running 1.8 for the stiffness and 1.4 for the roll bars, and there's a good balance to be found here, because if you run the suspension too aggressively, like the car just won't perform on the curves, but if you run it too conservatively, then you just won't be able to get as much lap time out of the car. So I felt 1.8, 1.4 was a good balance midway. You can turn down the roll bars a bit more if you're struggling with traction or like the car's performance over curves, but then I felt the car was just a bit too lazy. And running the right height 1.7, I felt like running minimum front right height gave me really good responsiveness, but if you feel like you need more comfort over bumps and curves, you might want to consider putting that up a bit. And now quickly glossing over the brakes and tires. These are just fairly standard, running maximum brake pressure and maximum tire pressure as well. Just gives me the best stability and braking performance. So yeah, that's about it for the setup. Well, thanks for watching. Before I go, there's one more thing I wanted to talk about. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I want to provide some insight and updates into the channel's future and what I'm planning for the next game. So if you've been following this channel for a while, you might know that I haven't been able to upload as much during F1 2021 as I did at the end of last game, and that's mainly because of the living space situation I was in and not being able to fit this absolute beauty you see on screen right now into where I was living. So I'm glad to say that that'll be over pretty soon. Won't be right now, but it'll be in August. So not exactly at the launch of the next game, but I'm hoping by August then that I can upload more regularly and just create better content apart from the hot laps. I want to increase the variety in the channel, maybe more track guides and setup tips like this one, some league racing content perhaps, or just fun and open lobbies. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but yeah, I'm hoping to make the channel a bit more active than what it's been like in the past months. So yeah, that's all I want to say. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in August.